What stopped your bully from saying bad things to you? My entire class made fun of my friend James for struggling with tongue twisters, despite knowing he'd been born with a strong lisp. Thally the thelth, the thea, the thelth, by the thea Thor, he forced out. One of the biggest bullies at school, Arno, made the class laugh with his cruel impression. That wath the thupid. Even the teacher turned away to snicker. James stayed in the bathroom after class, holding his tongue while practicing the tongue twister in the mirror. Thally thelth thea thelth, he whispered over and over, determined to improve. James begged his mom for speech therapy, and at first it really felt like it was working. Your S sounds are getting clearer. Listen, say it again. James would beam and try once more. Sally sells, Almoth perfect. But all the progress he made disappeared when James had to stand in front of the class for a presentation. He pointed to the poster board with trembling hands. Our pre-thentathloneth about the tholar thiththithtem. The harder he tried, the worse it got. The thunneth the thithenter of our Arno erupted with laughter. Thy thiththithtem. He thount worther than before. Even the nice kids giggled behind their hands. James dropped his poster and ran out. I raised my hand and excused myself to chase after him. I found him in the hallway, hitting his mouth with his fist. I pracked thy though hard. After that day, something changed in James. He'd stare at people's mouths when they talked, watching their tongues move perfectly behind their teeth. I found notebooks filled with drawings of tongues labeled perfect and worthless. His phone became filled with speech guidelines, but nothing seemed to get rid of his broken tongue. I felt terrible watching my friend suffer through the bullying and told him to try reporting them, but he refused and cried, explaining how the only thing he wants done is make his tongue better. You'll find a way. I know you will, I encouraged. Then, on a day that felt like any other, Arno approached us on the playground with his posse, arms crossed over his chest like a spoiled child. Hey, Jameth, he grinned. James frowned, jumping down from the monkey bars. I decided to stop bullying you, if you can say 7 sizzling sausages in a saucepan. I pushed him back and told him to leave, but James still tried. Thievin thizzling to thou thaggeth. Everyone around us burst into laughter. Arno mocked him again. Thievin thing. You sound though stupid. How do you even function? James took a deep breath and stood still, but instead of looking at his feet, he stared at Arno's mouth with an eerie calmness. I thee it now, he whispered. Your tongue is thick with mean worth. When Arno pressed on his shoulder laughing, James tackled him, landing them both behind the playground equipment conveniently hidden from the building. Arno got angry and tried to move James off him, but James pressed his weight on him and pulled a pair of scissors from his jacket pocket, completely prepared to handle the issue in a horrifying way. He forced Arno's jaw open with one hand, but his voice was almost gentle. Don't worry, I'm going to help you. I'll take the mean words out that you can't hurt anyone anymore. He carefully positioned the scissors at the base of Arno's tongue. Right here is where Thupid liveth. I just need to remove that part. He began cutting with disturbing precision. Arno's laughter from minutes before completely turned into screams that were drowned out by the playground. I felt my body feel woozy watching them struggle and use the scissors in awful ways I could have never imagined. The top moving! You're making this harder! I'm trying to help! James studied the tongue as he cut, like he was performing surgery. Almoth got the cruel parts out. The tongue proved tougher to cut than he'd expected. Arno's friends ran away, mostly hiding out of fear. None ever left to find help, like a bunch of cowards who only knew how to make people miserable. So with all the strength I had in my small body, I ran over to a teacher to tell them what happened, giving out all the frantic details and tugging on her shirt sleeve. At first she didn't really seem to care, probably thinking that it was just a child's wild imagination running, but after a lot of convincing, she trailed behind me. By the time the teacher showed up to the scene, James had cut half of the tongue out and was examining it carefully, while Arno thrashed beneath him, gurgling and choking. Look, he held up a piece to the teacher. I got the mean words out. He can't they cruel think anymore. The teacher screamed and called for more help. Soon, officers arrived to take my friend away. When asked about the attack, all he would say was, I fixed him. I removed the part that made fun of my speech. Now he only hath the nice part left. Arno was rushed to the nurse's office temporarily, but Arno would never speak normally again, forced to communicate through sign language. James got sent to juvie, and in my head, I knew if James saw that, he'd say, bullieth get what they deserve.